do right here is go back.
1, 2, 3, 4.
By the power of Crowder Shop,
I have the power!
Dave, you're not wearing pants.
'Tis true.
Where'd Dave get those cool threads? Wouldn't you like to know? It's a mystery. But you can start your treasure hunt at CrowderShop.com. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Crowder Shop.
Very nice.
Delicious. I guess I have a little Moroccan mint tea today.
Oh.
Which I didn't know was a thing, but I saw Babel.
Fancy.
Seriously.
Also, they had the highest concentration of Jews outside of Israel at one point.
Babel.
And something about making the Sicilians black.
What?
What?
A little
True
more,
romance.
little more history for you.
What in the world is
There you go, right off the top.
We have a lot to get to today. Look, fire Tucker Carlson, or was it cancel Tucker Carlson? I can't remember.
Probably
the hashtags.
both.
Was trending. Of course, canceling Dave Chappelle. Look, people use the term cancel culture. I'm going to talk about this today. I've never really liked the term because it's someone trying to coin it, like MAGA verse or MAGA people. It's like you're talking about people who are just really, traditional conservatives who want what's best for America. With cancel culture, what we're really talking about with Dave Chappelle and with Tucker Carlson is people don't like them and they want to get them fired and they want them to lose their livelihood. And people misconstrue what happens with Dave Chappelle, right? They say, see, there's no cancel culture. He has a special. That's because he's one of the most prolific comedy writers of our time. The concern is what happens to people who are not Dave Chappelle, who are not Tucker Carlson in the comedy clubs, who are maybe at local networks, who never get on a national platform. That's the issue. It's about the barrier to entry, and people sort of misconstrue that with the folks who are at the top. And even the stuff that Dave Chappelle did, Tucker Carlson did, it's really not that bad.
No, not at all.
No,
in Chappelle's case, funny.
It's really not. Hey, but let me introduce Gerald A.
How you doing, sir?
You feeling better?
I am. I feel like I missed the boat, though. I didn't get to earn my, immunity.
Is that an indigenous peoples joke?
No. Oh,
yeah.
I see what
no,
I
I missed the smallpox blanket.
Well, I'll send you one.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Centuries before germ theory. Don't know how that rumor got started, but it's taught in schools. We'll get to that, too, in a little bit. Because the FBI, DOJ, are going to investigate you, parents, if you complain at PTA meetings. Who'd have thought?
Oh.
Rightfully so.
Yay.
Quarter Black Garrett,
Good morning.
he's still around. You're a good dad.
I am. Yeah, I'm a fourth. I got a fourth on the way.
What?
Announcement.
Really?
Announcement.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I thought you
It works down there.
I thought you closed up the shop.
No. I
you
will be
didn't?
after this, though.
No, yeah.
I can't do that's too many.
Snip, snip here, snip, snip there.
Yes.
Really old sore taint.
I could just
I don't
kick
want to
you.
talk about it. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Scissors down there?
I ruined Christmas dinner in Reno where a guy was like, I just had a vasectomy. His wife was like, do you need some ice? And I said, yeah. You need to put a frozen bag of peas on that taint. And he said, it's not my taint. It's actually really shitty. I was like, I don't care about them. Just come on, grow up.
You're the one who said taint at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but he's the one who was offended at it.
I'm trying to eat
Hello,
turkey here, man.
Kettle.
Yeah, well, whatever. I never said I was an adult. It's easy for you to say. You haven't got half a dozen pairs of short pants hanging in your closet. Name that movie line, people out there. And Dave Landau is here. How are you, sir?
Ahoy. I'm good. I'm great.
You're going to be in Orlando this weekend.
Yes, that's correct. This weekend, and he just announced that he's having a baby, so I was also on a fishing show.
Oh, very nice.
Congrats,
Orlando,
man.
avoid the nightclubs.
Yeah.
I hear,
I hear
I like to go dance.
I hear they're a blast, but you really don't want to take them.
Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with these booty shorts and all this ecstasy.
Well, I'm sure you'll find something for it.
Yeah, I bet I will.
That's a crime.
Hey, by the way, I don't think if we have this today is actually National Coming Out Day. Hey! Yeah.
Oh, great.
Uber sell. Oh, can we scroll down with the Uber?
Well,
Yeah.
you could have a ride from this person.
Let it
I'm
never
okay.
be said
No.
that there's any deviance in that community.
I think
One
I'm sitting
star
on a
review.
seatbelt. It's not a seatbelt.
You know what's fun about that person too is that she was born a woman, transitioned into a male to do drag. So
What?
right,
Well, you could have just done that.
I feel like this is the kind of crap Freud
Wow.
shuffling papers. I don't have a form for this.
He's like, I wish
can't.
you all just still wanted to bang your mother.
Yeah, look, it'd be a little more natural.
I'm a little pissed off they didn't lump this in with July. Like, you've got July. Take the whole month and do this. But
Yeah.
now I understand. They wanted it close to Halloween so they would have an excuse.
There's so many gay days, okay? And I'm not just talking about Boxing Day in Canada where you get a fake discount. There's
Or
there's
Thursday
national.
when I allow myself things.
Yes. Yeah. Well, look, went in a porta potty in L.A.
Yeah.
There's International
Yeah.
Bisexual Day. Then there's Bi Visibility Day.
Which I'm not sure what.
Then there's International Gay
Yeah.
Pride Day.
LGBT
Isn't there
Now there's
History
National Coming Out Day.
Yeah.
There's it's just with Martin Luther King, it makes sense. Martin Luther King Day. Okay.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
honoring the man who's the forefather, really,
Yeah.
or you could argue, but certainly one of the catalysts of the modern civil rights movement, getting
Yeah.
the right to vote. That's absolutely fantastic. Great. I understand why it's celebrated. Let's not compare that to your preference of friction or eye makeup, Uber.
Yeah.
Let's cancel Christmas.
Yeah, let's cancel Christmas.
No.
By the way, I had
Yes.
an Uber driver. I don't know if I should tell this. It's a slow news day. So
Yeah.
I had an Uber driver who I got in one time after a place where we often go.
I'm sorry you.
And I get into the Uber and I
of words.
I see all these Christmas lights. And I see it's like
going
red
on?
velvet everywhere.
Yeah.
And I look up front and there's fake snow. And the Uber driver is Santa Claus. Oh. I mean, a real
That's
real
awesome.
beard. And he goes, "Okay, I'm taking you to my address." And I say, "Yes, sir." He goes, "And don't forget," I swear to you, he goes, this was in maybe April. "There's only 263 more days until Christmas, young man." Oh my God, this guy is Daniel Day-Lewising Uber. And then before I leave, he goes, "Well, thank you for the pleasant." We ended up talking. I found out that he does this part-time to go on cruises with his wife. He's retired.
Nice.
I love that.
And as I'm leaving, he goes, "Thank you, I enjoyed the conversation. Oh. And Stephen, I hear you've been a very good boy this year." And I was like, I just want to find. And then I was at home, like, I gotta find this Uber. There are articles about him,
That's awesome.
but I want
Legendary,
I
man.
want him my only Uber by request.
you love
Long
Christmas,
story
this
short,
works.
died in a horrible drinking and driving accident.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, milk
He
and
was
cookies.
jolly.
He was dipping.
Yes, he was tipping.
A little distracted.
Oh,
So
18-wheeler.
yeah. He was reaching back for some carrots for the reindeer. Oh, what do we got back there? Oh, she's texting.
I got in a car with a woman. She was driving amazing. And I was like, "You are the best driver I've ever seen." And she's like, "Yeah, I used to be a boy."
Oh, Dave.
And then she got a spread
National
on
Coming Out Day.
Uber.com. So we have a lot to talk about today. Look, there's what are they talking about right now? A Merc with a pill to treat coronavirus. No, that's okay. Ivermectin. I know that's a joke. You can
it's a
fact
joke.
check me, Snopes. Before we move on to this, apparently the left on TikTok. This is libs on TikTok.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
They scrape these things. Have once again they've canceled another offensive term on a national. Is it International Coming Out Day or is it national?
Pretty sure it's national.
Intergalactic.
National.
National.
It's National Coming Out Day. Well, you know what? The queers. It should be next thing. There's going to be Queers Without Borders.
In the Middle East, it's just a new day for hunting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They don't celebrate these holidays.
Or flying.
Yeah, that's true. They got to test your
No.
wings.
They invite you to the rooftop for a complimentary yoga
Yeah.
class.
Yes, exactly.
All males that show up.
And they
will
give
be-
you a James Caan right off of it.
This position is touch your toes. It's called soaring eagle. Bye.
Yes, goodbye to you.
So the new word that's being canceled now on TikTok. Guys.
Let's talk about the use of guys as a gender-neutral term. For a lot of trans and
Watch it.
non-binary folks, being referred to in this way triggers their dysphoria. And people will say, "Oh, I call all my friends guys, even my girlfriends." But
true.
your cis friends did not experience the trauma of being conditioned into a gender that is not theirs. For me, I have stopped saying it because I realize
Trauma.
the importance of degendering our language. Language matters, and the words that we use inform the way we see the world.
I agree.
There are literally studies on this. So
Talked
when
to
we
any
consider
doctors
words
lately?
like guys to be gender neutral and not girls or ladies, this fuels the narrative that man is default. And this is the core of the patriarchy. Look, you can use whatever words you want,
you part
but
of it?
we have to consider their impact. And if someone tells you that the language you are using is
I didn't know
hurting them,
Jennifer
and you decide
Connelly
not
was
to
this
change
invested.
because it's more comfortable for you, I think that says a lot about your character.
Okay,
I
a
love
couple
you.
of things. By the
I
way,
love you.
I use the term guys all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, and if it's in a
Yes.
room, and sometimes it includes women. If it's only women, I will say gals or ladies.
Ladies.
But the idea here is that because of the trauma of, okay, look, and we're going to get to the Dave Chappelle thing. They always talk about how I know people who attempted suicide. If people are attempting suicide because of a Dave Chappelle special, or if people have to spend thousands of dollars on a psychiatrist because you walked into a room with mostly guys and used the term guys, maybe you're not mentally stable. I understand you can take a dump at Target and not at Walmart, and this is as bad as the treatment of Chinese internment camps, right, from the Japanese. And
True.
But look, the suicide rate isn't as high in American slaves. It wasn't as high Jews in the Holocaust. You can look it up. So if you think that the only reason the depression, the anxiety, the mental health issues, the suicide rate is so high because someone used the term guys, well, maybe it's you.
It might be.
Basically.
I think they're coming after Neil Armstrong next because when he landed on the moon, he said, "For all mankind."
Oh, yeah.
I mean, mankind.
Right.
Neil?
Small
Yeah.
step for man.
I guess we just
a
actually
real
didn't go to
son
the
of
moon,
a gun.
so.
Well, today it
I'll
would
tell
be
you
some
what-
pansexual in booty shorts who takes a dump and drops a little rainbow flag in it.
Just
San Francisco on the moon.
Yeah, fake
yeah,
beard.
I think it might be called guy if you have Martin Scorsese's eyebrows.
Yes.
So how about that? Good Lord. The word, it's just how you address people. It's not
Girls
offensive.
do it too to other girls.
Stop.
Hey guys.
This is just such an insane way, though, to restrict all language
Yeah.
and to be offended by literally everything.
Hey, guys.
What?
I'm supposed to believe that someone's going to David Carradine themselves because I walked into a room and said, hey, buddy.
Well, that was more about pleasure.
That was that was a pleasure thing.
So maybe they will.
Yeah, well, that's on Lyft.
That's a good way to be found in a Thailand closet.
Yeah.
Hey, so my question of the day, because
Coming up, Dave.
we're going to get to this, is how scary is it to you that the government is now targeting parents? We had a summer of love, we had Antifa, we had Black Lives Matter. I want to know, are you aware of the DOJ that they're going to be targeting and investigating parents for speaking out at these school board meetings? And here's one thing, here's my challenge to anybody. Find me, I've been looking all morning. I'm not saying that it's incorrect. I make mistakes. We're going to issue a correction later today from a whopper last week. I have not seen one act of violence from a parent to a teacher at these meetings.
Well, there's so many threats, though.
I mean, it's deserved, but it hasn't happened yet.
We'll see about that.
If it's just threats, then my Twitter at reply should be an FBI house party.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a hate crime, Stephen.
All right, so I want to get before that while we're talking about celebrities here. It was just too and I'm not Alanis Morissette this. The irony.
Oh, so it's actually irony?
Yeah, it's actual. Yeah.
So Dave Bautista, for people who don't remember, back in October 2020, he was showing for Biden-Harris, and he was advocating, obviously, for big government on gun control. Yeah. Okay, so this is him then, where he said, "My fellow gun owners, Joe Biden is pro-Second Amendment. He wants gun reform, a ban on assault rifles, and a voluntary buyback of assault rifles owned." I won't even get into the fact that he probably doesn't know what an assault rifle is. He thinks it's a laser blaster from Guardians of the Galaxy. This is fair. This would save lives. I don't need to overcompensate with an AR-15.
Oh, Lord.
Your right to bear arms. Okay, first off, here's something. Let me just address, and we'll get to the point of this, because now he's complaining about something that he didn't foresee. When people say, I don't need to compensate with an AR-15, every guy in a wheelchair has a small dick. Every woman is compensating to avoid being gang raped in Inglewood, California. It's the stupidest. You know who carries more than UFC champions? We've had them on it. Boss Rutten talked about this. He said everyone wants to pull up and test us. He said, really, in the street, of course I'm not going to fight somebody. It's a liability. I'm only going to defend myself with a firearm. You, no matter how tough you are not tougher than either multiple attackers or an attacker with a weapon. It's not compensating, right? It's not compensating like taking steroids and going out there and tell everyone how tough you are. It's especially important for women, for people who may not be able to afford the Anavar dosage that you do.
Exactly. Why would you take one of the most effective firearms and say no because it's so effective? Isn't that the point?
Yeah.
I have no
thought that was
choice.
the whole goal.
Maybe that was them with a vaccine.
Yeah.
They had a version like, nah, that works too
Tell you
well.
what, let's do birdshot for everybody just so you can piss your attacker off further.
Yeah, exactly.
You can fill
Get
birdshot with coins, though. I found out in a Tom Hanks movie.
Really?
And yeah, you kill
Yes.
somebody.
Well,
Yes.
don't fire that in the
News
wrong
of the
area of
world.
Hollywood with all the
No.
Just
It'd be
fire
like
it at the ground. Look, run.
winning the
Got any
lottery.
spare change?
I'm joking. You would do it in the primarily Indian area. So,
I had to register these as lethal weapons.
well, that
It was a sex offender
yes,
register.
yeah, exactly.
It's the wrong register.
You also had to hold them up when you notified all your neighbors.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I did bring them a pie with hair in it.
Very nice. Okay. So this is what's ironic because he's saying you can be safe with a voluntary buyback. Well, he wanted to make Beto his gun czar, who said it's a mandatory gun back like Australia. But here's the thing. The issue, right, is once you give government control, look at the assault weapons ban of 94. It became nothing but bureaucratic red tape.
Yeah.
This was legal, pistol grip illegal. Just little cosmetic differences to try and make it hard for gun manufacturers and mom and pop shops to be able to provide you with the means to defend yourself. The main issue is, A, it's an infringement of our rights, but it also creates another big government bureaucracy who, of course, use this power to infringe on your rights. Batista didn't see that coming, and now, I think this went up just this weekend, he's pissed about big government red tape and regulations. Here's Batista now.
I have a riddle. It's a mystery, and I need help with. I can't figure it out. How many bureaucrats does it take to grant an awful citizen of Tampa like myself?
He just called himself an awful citizen.
But I'm dealing with people who have meetings to set other meetings. I'm dealing with people who give me a list of stuff to do just so I can take it to them so they can give me another list of stuff to do.
It's called government.
I spent thousands of dollars on permits. I spent 40 grand last week on a wire. What the f*** do I have to do to get power from the city of Tampa?
Well, first off, you should learn what a riddle is. It's like, hey, would you like to? Yeah, I like riddles.
Is that the guy
What
from-
did I eat for breakfast? I don't know. Eggs.
Well,
I don't know. That's what they don't bury survivors. I don't know how to handle this
Technically, it's a
riddle.
riddle.
question.
That's just a statement.
That's the guy from Stuber?
Yeah.
Oh.
The guy from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, that hit film.
The
just
awful
over-
citizen, as he said. How would it take for an awful citizen? Did you mean to say lawful citizen? But look.
Awful scripts.
Yeah, awful scripts, awful wrestling,
acting.
I just
awful
wanted to double check
vascularity.
that it was the guy I thought it was who I hate. Go
Yes,
on.
no, you're absolutely right.
Wow, he's awful.
This is the same guy who doesn't need a gun to compensate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look. Well, okay. You don't. Why do you need generators? Right? Why just Swiss Family Robinson that shit? Do it yourself. Get on a pedal. Right? Why do you need this for power? These are tools, just like firearms. These are tools to make your life safer, to make your life more efficient. And I agree with you. You shouldn't be having to deal with a bunch of bureaucratic red tape if it's on your own property. Hey, look, you can come over and join our side. You just can't decide when it's convenient for you that my wife, coming out of, let's say, surgery in a wheelchair, doesn't have the right to have an assault rifle, which, by the way, would include the Walther PDP with over 10-round magazines.
Well,
It
yes.
would be illegal because of the magazine ban. So let's just be consistent about it, awful citizen.
I don't think you should have the opportunity to continue firing at people, Stephen, after 7. If you can't hit them within 7,
Yes.
then, it's just tough luck. Like, they win.
You
Well,
forfeit your
don't
life.
be in a movie with guns in it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
No,
I'm not
don't
saying
be
that
in
it's
only movies with guns in
Well,
it.
that's exactly
He's
right.
exclusively in
like,
movies
I'm not
with
saying
guns.
you're the actual movie character, but you're kind of pro-gun all the time on screen.
Yeah, there's no rom-com how to lose a Batista in 10 days. So it's pretty easy. Just cut off his testosterone supply like the Bane mask. Just no! Awful citizen can't handle.
Lawful citizen.
Lawful.
I'm in
The first L he's missing there.
I need assistance with my generator. What an ass.
I love where he draws the line, like the Second Amendment, the thing that can actually cause a society to crumble, Australia.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's all about power from the city.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
my
that
line.
gun buyback in Australia really worked.
Yeah,
it's
it
working
worked like
out
a
for him.
charm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is how out of touch these people are. Look, I had this, I think it was on Sky News, where a man said he was anti-gun. I believe it was Sky News. It may have been BBC. You can probably
was
search
his
and
name?
find it on YouTube. And by the way, has anyone noticed that YouTube, really quickly, have you noticed that YouTube is no longer an actual search engine? I can try and search for something specific, very specific. Like I was searching for a very specific coffee maker the other day for a townhouse.
Okay.
And instead of that, it showed all of these videos from channels that I had previously watched that may be coffee related. I couldn't find a review on the coffee. It used to, like it is no longer an actual search engine. It's just an algorithm. It's just curated based on what they think you want. It has ceased to fulfill its original purpose. Try it. Try it.
Yes,
Comment in the section below. Let me know. Search for something specific. Search for like, and I don't even mean using me like Stephen Crowder abortion, but search for, I don't know, pick an appliance review. Or like diet something review. Pick something very specific. You will only find maybe 2 videos.
Google in general it doesn't work as a search engine anymore.
It doesn't work as a search engine.
You have to go to like page 2, which is
what will happen is if you search for chairs, though, you're going to see ads for months. Every website you go to is just going to be like, would you like chairs?
Holding chairs.
Well, hopefully.
Did you see the Christopher Reeves one?
There's an ad for Christopher
No, it was like
Reeves?
the Google page. It was like Christopher Reeves' birthday, and it was like he was blowing Google, not like that.
Oh,
but
yeah,
like
the little
blowing
the
the
doodle.
words Google, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's the most offensive thing I've ever seen.
So either
why is
someone
that
is just
offensive?
so incredibly tone deaf, or they have the best sense of humor.
Yeah, I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, it's either hilarious or they just have no idea what they're doing.
And the L is just a raising stallion.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
they're all
His mortal enemy.
written in horse jumps.
The first search, no matter what you search for, is all the pretty horses. Okay. Hey, by the way, you can follow us on Instagram or on TikTok, where the Chai Coms banned us, but we have another profile there now, playing by the rules, I guess.
Sneaky.
And you can hit the notification bell if you want to watch the show. But the best way is just tune in every Monday through Thursday. We're live, 10 a.m. Even if it's a slow news day, we have a lot that we can talk about and have some fun with you.
Yeah.
And we'll take your chat, of course, later in Mug Club. And we didn't have time for it today. We are going to read in full on Mug Club this write-up from a transgender comedian, beautiful and brave Dahlia Bell, criticizing Dave Chappelle's comedy joke. So we'll talk about Dave Chappelle.
Celebration.
So proud.
I thought National Coming Out Day was Thanksgiving.
That's true.
I'm serious.
No, now we have Columbus Day as opposed to it's Indigenous Peoples
Indigenous
Day.
people.
Which, by the way, I should have done a segment on this. Almost everything that you believe about Columbus is wrong. Now, I've talked about Native Americans. I've talked about how we actually tried to buy Manhattan, how much we paid for Manhattan. The truth is, look, he doesn't even like it.
He's like,
Joe Lewis doesn't even like this. But all the myths about Columbus kidnapping girls and making them rape slaves, it's just not true. And that's a good example of what's been taught in our schools when you look at contemporary sources with Christopher Columbus. Look, no one's perfect, but he's not the monster he's been made out to be. Almost everything you've read is incorrect, and it's written by people with an agenda after Columbus had lived. And these things are not objectively actually checked for legitimacy. So we may talk about that tomorrow.
Did you say... So I'm sorry, Gerald, go ahead.
I was going to say, I do love the fact that we are celebrating a man who got lost.
Yes.
That is true.
He did a good
That is
job
his
of
chief
being
accomplishment is like, aha, I've got a new way to get to India.
Right.
That way.
Well, that's what's hilarious is they're called Indians because he just thought they were.
He's like, this is where I am. It must be
He's
India.
just trying to cover. These are
like,
also Indians.
Yeah, come on, guys. They're everywhere.
Well, you know, a myth that he was trying to prove the world wasn't flat. Some people believe that. That's never true. That's not true. You go all the way back to the Greeks. They didn't believe that the world was flat. That's not why he did it.
Johnny Boy's less than 2% now.
Yeah, Johnny Boy's less than
that's
2%.
good.
The earth is flat.
2%. I don't know what that means.
Something about a helicopter going up. He says once he gets the helicopter and he can do the experiment, he'll buy it.
Well, yeah, a lot of people looked in the sky and saw that everything was round and agreed.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Except for the Native Americans, which I know who you herald and praise, herald and praise. Yeah, indigenous,
you.
or Aboriginals in Australia, which is offensive in North America.
You can't do that. Yeah, that doesn't.
What do they call black people in Australia? You don't call
Eskimos.
African Americans?
Eskimos.
I don't know what.
Do they call them African Australians?
Aboriginal?
Probably Africans.
They're not
But they're
Aboriginal.
not in Africa.
I don't think they call them.
They were originally British.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Canadians.
Not that.
All right.
Yes, they call them Mondays.
Yes. Okay.
I don't know. There are black people there, though.
Yeah.
But it's
Indigenous.
more by choice, though. Right?
No.
Well, I mean,
what
it
are you
was a
talking
penal
about?
colony.
It was a British penal colony.
Oh, right. They went
Yeah.
over. They sent. I forgot that they sent their prisoners to paradise.
Look, the founders.
Maybe
of
we
the
ought to
beast,
eat your
apparently.
kangaroo bread.
Let's send them to a warm weather and beaches. That'll teach them.
There's also spiders and snakes and crocodiles
And
stuff
sharks.
Like, yes.
Things
yeah,
sharks.
and those giant spiders are not. And
They're like a dinner plate, bro.
Yeah, and everybody's okay with them.
No way.
No, we're
They're
not.
like, that's just our pet Winky. You're like, that's a giant spider.
Right. Yeah.
You
I know.
Australians are crazy.
Yeah, and the Brazilian wandering spider can bite. I've talked about it too
dude,
much. The
yeah.
Brazilian
I don't-
wandering
I
spider
don't-
can bite you, causing priapism until death. For those who don't know, yes, priapism is a raging erection. So people like when they say, "Why are you afraid
Yeah.
of spiders?" Well, let me tell you why. Because there's a spider that bites you in your dick until it breaks and kills you.
No,
I don't think. Well, it's irrational, Stephen.
It opens up in the inside of it, right?
No, it's just
Oh,
they're actually
Dave.
using it now. The Brazilian wandering spider. We'll bring this up on Mug Club for
Viagra.
for like a
yeah, they
new
are.
medication.
I know
But
what you're. I've read this.
Yeah.
But it's Brazilian. It's not here. You're not there. It's okay.
Well, you got to get it from there because what were they using before? Like,
no, I'm not talking about a pharmaceutical. I'm talking about his fear of a Brazilian.
Oh no, they
wandering
show up. They
spider.
travel in
Why
banana
would-
baskets.
Why would you not be afraid?
Bananas.
What?
You have
Lumber.
every
Yep.
right to be afraid.
I have every right to be afraid of
they
Brazilian
big?
wandering spiders. They're not small. Big enough. You know what? Does size matter if it kills you by breaking your dick?
yeah.
Yeah. If
Just
it's this
sorry,
small,
people,
it's-
that we
that's a
got, but it
problem.
is absolutely true. The Brazilian wandering spider, and
Penis.
then there's outside of Sao Paulo. I've talked about this. Snake Island. You guys wonder what it is? It's just an
real.
island of snakes. It's an island of snakes. It's something like 9 snakes per square meter. It just
Terrifying.
exists as an island. And the only reason we can't destroy Snake Island, I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent here. I've talked about this before, but it really bothers me. I have nightmares about this stuff. Is because, well, there's some endangered species that only exist on Snake Island. And if we destroy them, wait a second. We're not destroying Snake Island because we might disrupt the ecosystem of snakes who live exclusively on Snake Island. Kill them all immediately.
Firebomb.
This is why I've said burn down the rainforest.
Yes. I don't give a rat's ass who you replace for the Robin Williams bat and Fern Gully.
Right.
Burn it down.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. Snake Island, not cool.
No.
I've seen video footage, and it's like I don't even know how the cameras got there.
They have
I hope
flying
you-
snakes.
I know. They jump up. It's a horrible place.
They evolve
Everything there
completely
should
different.
be. Not everything should be alive.
No.
We should start a GoFundMe to destroy Snake Island.
Dude, I'm with you.
They're always like, well, it destroys your natural ecosystem, which I don't really buy when they talk about like sharks. Like, oh, they're an
Yeah.
apex predator, so then we'll have too many seals. You think people will be missing it? Like, oh, on their surfboard. Remember back in the good old days of great whites when we used to go out here and miss half a hammy on the way back in? No, now it's just seals, okay? Maybe it smells kind of funny, but the point is life finds a way. In this case, you have a closed ecosystem. It's Snake Island. You're disrupting nothing outside of Snake Island. Burn it. Make it painful. Make it so painful. Make it so brutal that all other snakes, geez, we were even thinking about just like a vacation home. I think we're going to stay away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want it to hurt.
I want it to hurt so badly, a snake never considers a timeshare.
Exactly. I want it to be like, oh, I don't want to be no snake.
No, I don't want to be a Snake Island. Okay, speaking of snakes,
Grow some legs.
Jocelyn Moore
I'll
of
be a caterpillar
Netflix.
now.
Jocelyn Moore of Netflix. She's the okay.
Sorry.
Jocelyn Moore. No, it's not for you because I was
It's-
almost
yeah.
messed up my pronouns.
Oh, jeez.
So Dave
Want
Chappelle.
me
This
to
is
hit the stinger again? I'll hit it again.
no.
No.
So we talked about this last week. Okay. So
Yes.
it's something beautiful, which I'm proud.
Yes.
And someone did in the back of the Uber. I was like, was that Blitzen? Okay.
All right. Okay.
So look, so Dave Chappelle, we talked about this last week. We had not watched the special. Did you watch the special?
I did.
Yeah, okay. So I watched the special too. Pretty good special. I would say not his best, not his worst, but pretty damn good.
And I came out. I really liked the coming out swinging, and I guess we can talk later about it. But it was a whole piece.
Yes.
and it was deliberately offensive in the beginning to just
Almost like a Pink Floyd album, or like Mars Volta, where D-Low's at the Comatorium, where it's like it followed a theme.
Right.
Yeah,
It was a whole piece, and I really respected it.
Yeah, and after watching the special and seeing the end of the special, my mind was blown that it should have been blown that people were unbelievably, just grossly misrepresenting the special and what Dave Chappelle did and said. And we'll show you the ending to it, because the whole ending is a very pro-LGBT message, a pro-empathy message, while still maintaining free speech. But he has a very touching end to it where some people are left kind of teary-eyed. So This is something that now I've had the luxury of watching all of it, makes me even more disgusted with Jocelyn Moore, the showrunner of the Netflix program Dear White People, wanted to boycott Netflix. And this has been making the rounds, right? And we'll read another article that posted last night at The Guardian. In an interview with Variety, Moore said, "I have been thrown against a wall for using a woman's bathroom. I would just say it's ironic that for somebody who famously walked away from a TV show because he felt like the messages of the joke got lost, he doesn't see what the messages of these jokes do to people. I'm really tired of my existence being a matter of debate. This is something that we all just have to get an opinion about. I am not going to be taking anything to Netflix for the time being. I don't know what it will take for me to feel comfortable in changing that. I know that it will take some action." So let's couple of things here. Let me go with this. This is what we're talking about when people mention cancel culture. You'll have some people, and I used to get bothered with Bill Burr saying, there's like two guys in the audience, they get over it, right? It's not about two guys in the audience. It's about some people in a position of power who really don't deserve to be in that position of power, amplifying their voice to try and take away your livelihood. It's about comedians going and complaining to the booker so you never get stage time. No one is arguing that these people are the majority. No one is arguing that, by the way, a white, straight male who produces a show from the Black American point of view titled Dear White People, who only transitioned more at December 2020, went from this to this. Right? So it's a straight white male canceling a black man. No one is arguing that that is the majority. Unfortunately, they are in positions of power to dictate what you, the majority, get to watch. So when people say it's not a thing, it's accountability culture, no, it's not. It's not. It's people who get furious at somebody for making a joke about biological sex and then go to the most powerful network in the world where they happen to be a showrunner for, I don't know if it's popular, but certainly one of their hallmark shows, Dear White People, saying, I'm not going to do any work for you until you fire this guy for having a different point of view. Can anyone imagine it going the other way? Like, Netflix, if Dave Chappelle said, I'm not going to finish my contract with you until you take away the pro-transgender agenda pieces that you push on kids. I'm not going to give you anything at Netflix until you take away girls twerking in booty shorts. Yeah. How about that? No, you can never imagine this going the other way.
Well, the whole point really breaks down to that Dave was saying that the transgender movement was more successful and easier than the black movement in our society.
Right.
And look at what's happening as a result of his special. They're proving his point.
No, they're absolutely proving his point. And this is something that I want to point out here, and then I have to let Joe Lewis out. Apparently he heard a squirrel or something. This is the part of Chappelle's special that he ends with, and I have to assume that people who are boycotting him, the white straight male up until December 2020, still, by the way, bisexuals, I don't know. Okay, the point is, they saw this.
A woman threw him against a wall in a bathroom, supposedly.
Within the last 6 months?
I'm just not buying that at all.
Within the last 6 months?
It's just nonsense.
No, it doesn't pass a sniff test. Sorry. That and poop swastikas and nooses at NASCAR. It's like, okay.
And
look,
no, you shouldn't be in
there. You're almost always wrong.
I think all swastikas are poopy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because that was something that people believed, that neo-Nazis who actually believe and want to respect the history of Nazism would graffiti it in poop.
The only time I've ever seen a neo-Nazi was in Higher Learning.
At college?
Yeah, the movie.
In college.
Michael Rappaport.
I don't know. I was like, you went to a community college. I could have met one.
Yeah, she was wearing a Looney Tunes shirt.
Yes. Wearing one of those wolf shirts from the gas stations.
Just three of them howling.
So here is the special. Here is the portion of the special that these people who are complaining undoubtedly saw and are banking on you not watching. Here's the context of how Dave Chappelle ended the special.
But 6 days after that wonderful night I described to you, my friend Daphne killed herself. Oh, yeah. It's a true story. My heart was broken. Yeah, it wasn't the jokes. I don't know if it was them dragging her. I don't know what's going on in her life, but I bet dragging her didn't help. I was very angry at them. I was very angry at her. I felt like Daphne lied to me. She always says she identified as a woman, and then one day she goes up to the roof of a building and jumps off and kills herself. Clearly, only a man would do some gangster shit like that. Hear me out. As hard as it is to hear a joke like that, I'm telling you right now, Daphne would have loved that joke. That's why she was my friend. It's over. LBGTQ, LMNOP, QIZ, it is over. I am not telling another joke about you until we are both sure that we are laughing together. I'm telling you, this is done. I'm done talking about it. All I ask from your community, with all humility, will you please stop punching down on my people? Thank you very much, and good night.
Okay. Now, whether you feel that that does not erase the misdeeds of the previous comments in his special jokes, it's proactive to avoid and to not tell people about that context. When people say taken out of context, sometimes it becomes sort of just a dodging, right, of responsibility. But here's the thing. If you tell someone, for example, we'll get to it in a little bit where people talk about Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. Yeah. If you've read a book and you tell someone this book is horrible because you read them some horrible portion from chapter 4, but you know that there's redemption in chapter 10, and you specifically don't tell people about chapter 10, you are lying about that book. You are now a propagandist. That's what this is at Netflix. It is propaganda. The person knew what happened at minute 5, 6, 16, knows what happened at minute 55, and specifically omits it. Guess what? There are a lot of people out there like me last week because I have twins, right? We have people here with the COVID. Don't worry, they're all fine. I repeat myself. They're just staying home so they're not contagious. But I didn't have time to watch the special. But I said, I'm willing to bet that there's some BS. I'm going to watch the special. And I watch it and I go, oh, okay. Of course I've been lied to. Comment below. Does that change your opinion? Does that change your opinion? Even if you're pro-LGBT, does that change your opinion if you think that Dave Chappelle went too far, or if you thought he was hateful, or even if you thought it was mean? That context matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the way that he told that. Like, I'm not a comedian. You guys know this better than I do, but it's a great way of dealing with tragedy. Like, sometimes it's okay to just laugh about it. And he said it like Daphne would love that joke. And I didn't see the joke coming. I thought he was just going to end like a really like downtrodden like part. I was, oh, geez, man, he just made everybody laugh. And now everybody's gasping.
Right.
And then he just turned it around.
That's why he's one of the best.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah.
Well, and it's a great story. It's about having a friend who is transgender, who he lets open for him, you know, who essentially bombs.
Yeah.
And then somebody yells out from the crowd, does the carpet match the drapes, to attack her, and she turns around and says, actually, I have hardwood floors. And that makes everybody laugh, and it gives you an idea of this woman's sense of humor as well as his.
Yeah.
So he builds this wonderful base of how he has a relationship with another human being outside of all the BS, outside of doing it just for posturing.
Yeah.
This is just a relationship he has with somebody, and he's also a black guy who's, you know, known for being irreverent. This isn't probably the easiest thing to talk about on stage.
No.
But he puts it out there, and he puts his life out there, and then he ends it in, I think, a really very fascinating and beautiful way, and especially because he starts it so aggressive, and that's why it's this entire piece.
Look.
So anything in this piece, though, taken out of it, I feel is out of context.
No, I completely agree with you. When people try to act as though Christians get... You know what you get from Christians who, by the way, they could tune into any comedy special, particularly Catholics, right? They could tune into any comedy special, hear a joke about priests, or Christians hear jokes about televangelists. Yeah. Christians don't try to get you banned and don't say that we're going to boycott the world's biggest multimedia producer.
I do them in my act and they laugh.
Right. And at the most you might get, if it's really, really offensive, you might get this. That's the sound my parents make. Like when someone uses the Lord's name in vain in a movie, and the parents are like, that's it. You don't need to write a letter.
Right. Well, there was actually a couple of people in the audience that were. They look. I will not suppose for them. So we have this to pull up real quick. So all right, throw this picture up here.
This is in the audience at the Chappelle special.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody
is
around
that Shrigley Puff and Dame Edna?
Yeah, everybody around them is laughing except for them.
Everyone,
and you know they picked the front row to be like, we're going to show him our stern face.
Right.
Do you remember Jack Nicholson when he had the tiny lipstick in Batman? It looks like he got stung by a stingray.
Oh, my wife and I watched it and we laughed. We thought it was fantastic. Like all of his work that he was doing was great. So here's a point that you just made a second ago. The guy the girl that is trying to cancel Dave Chappelle. Sorry, I almost screwed up. I really didn't mean to.
Hey, I will hit it again.
In December 2020, could not have done it.
of course not.
There was no way that at that time a straight white male, like you said, would have been able to make these kinds of accusations against Dave Chappelle, a black man, and try to get him canceled. But the ultra privilege card, which is the whole point of Dave's show. He was talking
My question
about
is,
that.
how did this straight white male become the showrunner of Dear White People, written from the perspective of black people?
Right.
He had a very tiny dog.
Yeah. Well, this is something that I think is a legitimate grievance. When black people say, hey, you know, the problem with a lot of the black content out there is you don't really have white writers writing for black voices. I'm like, you know what? That's a legitimate grievance.
Yeah.
It makes sense if you're going to create a show with largely a black cast or about black culture that you should have a majority of your writers be black. And I don't think it needs to be a pie chart exactly representative of the demographics of the United States. It makes sense.
No.
Oh, it makes sense that, let's say you're doing Family Matters. That should probably be
Well, come on. You think there was a white writer on Family Matters?
who knows? Yeah.
Fresh Prince? I didn't see any white writers.
Shaft should be written by black. My point is,
You should.
just like James Bond should be written by a bunch of old British white guys who you hate. And it's okay because it's totally safe to hate them. All right.
Mr. Belvedere, I believe, was written by all black people.
By the way, Mr. French,
Sorry.
there were
Made
no
myself
French
laugh.
involved.
It really doesn't go the other way, though.
Oh, it doesn't go the
It's like Al. There was no black writers on Alf. There was just a heroin addict.
Yes.
That's serious.
I'd
That's
have a
the only way to do it.
punchline here, but the senior writer was nodding off. I guess I'll just eat another cat and hope he comes to after his last dab of smack.
How many cat-eating jokes could you fit into a show before they were like, I think this means something else?
Yes.
Yeah, this means something. Where are we going?
Should we keep the cat facade up, or should I strap my arm down with the surgical tubing and heat up the teaspoon, or you?
Oh, by the way, Google the dad on that show. Just see what
Yeah,
you
no, I
find.
know.
Oh, no.
All
I'm
right,
not
so
saying do it now.
we're going to get to, by the way, same tactics being used against Tucker Carlson. And
Yeah.
I've said there are things that I disagree with on Tucker Carlson about.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not necessarily the biggest
name.
fan, but I don't dislike him, and I will defend anyone when I believe that there's deliberately an attack in bad faith. They're doing the same thing. But before we get to that, we are not above making corrections on
That's
our show.
true.
We are not.
And last week on September 20, or 2 weeks ago on September 29th, I made a mistake. I've always said, call us on it, call us to the mat. I made a mistake by mixing up Kandahar. I said Kandahar when I meant to say Kabul. Now, granted, it's two cities that start with K in a crap hole country. However, no excuses. I will show you the clip and we will correct it. And you have no idea if an airbase in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by landmines, was an effective stronghold that we should have kept in lieu of trying to depart from crowded Kandahar, one of the most crowded cities, I think the most crowded city in Afghanistan that had already been overtaken by the Taliban. Here's a picture, side by side, so you can see. You have Bagram Air Base, surrounded by
tell.
landmines, Kandahar.
Hard to tell. I can't tell.
It's almost like it would have been helpful to have that second base.
Who knows?
Now, again, this was just me misspeaking. I said Kandahar. I meant to say Kabul. But you need to, look, as an audience, I demand that you, in the comment section, you need to admonish me.
Yes.
Okay? Well, no, not the comment.
Not the
let them know that
comment.
they need to admonish me. That's what's most important.
Oh, that was later on.
Oh,
No.
all right.
Just let them know. They need to admonish me.
There we go. Admonish.
Make it sting. I cannot get away with making these kinds of mistakes.
Admonish. I was just telling him again.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate it.
What's next? I mix up Kandahar and Kabul. Brian Stelter with a picture of Google and Twitter rotating Chiron with Facebook? No! So, look, I need to pay the price, and we didn't know if I should have the spiked garters to ratchet down, flog myself. But we did decide that there needs to be some public admonishment, some public shaming.
It's helpful.
So, of course, I still have to. I have to host the show.
Right, you have to be in the chair.
Someone's going to be shamed, punished in my tribute. Even Brendan!
Which one of you is Brendan?
Me?
You've been selected for admonishment.
What? Again?
Yeah.
Do I have to?
Yeah, let's go. Admonish.
Admonish! 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 Admonish!
All right, even Brendan, and you can come in here.
There you go.
You do have to admit that it was a really careless mistake.
Yeah, but you were comparing U.S.-controlled military air bases.
Yeah,
right? And well, Kandahar is used by the U.S. and NATO for military, so it's like.
Well, I don't really care all that much. I can't have I can't look. I have the whole admonish setup.
Yeah,
some of them
the
are
whole
day
thing.
raiders. We can't let it go to waste. I understand what you're saying, that they both had military air bases,
And their
but I
cannons.
was specifically referencing Kabul, and some people got about the population density. So you did get it wrong. I mean, I got it wrong, but then you get punished because that's in your contract. So, everyone,
Admonish.
yeah, give some Brendan's way too.
Just give more.
Yeah. Okay.
Admonish.
Yeah, it does sting.
Yeah,
All right,
but-
you can get going.
Okay. All right.
Severely admonish.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be a bad wall. Yeah.
Well, we have them. We pay them for a half day, then they get double overtime.
He was bleeding.
Well, so the point is, they're not gonna stop. They have to be out there for a
Yeah.
while.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Don't worry, we have the
guys
back exit to leave for our
Okay.
after show
All right,
meeting.
yeah, good.
All right, let's get to Tucker Carlson rebuttal here. A rebuttal not to Tucker Carlson, but fire Tucker Carlson was trending.
Right.
And this video comes from.
Sorry, it just trends so often.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Again.
It
Yeah.
trends so often, but you realize the attacks are so lazy. It's one of those things that
It
you
really
want to
is,
repeat
yeah.
ad nauseum. He's a white supremacist enough that people believe
Right,
it.
Yeah.
Okay, what we are going to do here is show you the clips that were trending top on Twitter yesterday, I believe number one. And then if you went into the trend, this was number one from the Super PAC Really American.
Well, and I don't think he's a white supremacist. I just think he likes them a little more.
I mean, maybe he likes them a little more. We all have preferences.
Guys,
it's
it's a
National
joke.
Coming Out Day.
Lord.
So they raised, Super PAC, Really American, raised $1.8 million during the 2020 election. Almost all of its money is spent against Republicans. The entire business model is it's creating hit pieces on notable Republicans, conservatives, right? And these things exist. Sometimes this is why, let me be really clear. This is why I do this show. This is the only show that I'll ever do, because a lot of conservative media is a bunch of nonprofit people too, and people are beholden to that, and it sucks. The only people we're beholden to you, first off, we're not funded by a nonprofit. We're not funded by a foreign caliphate like Al Jazeera. We're quite literally funded by you, and we can't even say we get Google funding. So do consider joining Mug Club.
Yeah.
But this is a portion of the clip, and I want to show you what they say, and then show you the exact clip that they're referencing, giving you context, kind of like with Dave Chappelle. Context over content. If there's nothing else you leave with today, context over content. I make it a rule on this show that if we say something that's something that could be perceived as, all you need to do is extend it 30 seconds in either direction. You'll say, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's totally reasonable, or I understand that that's a joke. That's generally the rule. He says in this video, the guy from Really American? What is it?
Really
American.
American.
Oh my gosh, that's just a really awful.
Super Really American.
Sounds like an old Navy sale.
Yeah.
So Really American says
20%
that Tucker Carlson is basically saying all of our problems are from non-white people. Here you go.
Right, Tucker Carlson just said this. There are no organized white supremacist forces in this country. Okay, there's two ways to interpret that. One is that white people like me aren't quite as supreme as advertised. Secret forces you can't see. But I don't think that's what Tucker meant. White supremacists. He's saying all the trouble in America is because people who aren't white don't know their place. Remember that when they come for you.
Oh my God!
What?
Look,
Having a
I just
stroke,
wish,
man?
for crying out loud, I just had to beat our number 2 employee here for saying Kandahar instead of Kabul. I just wish I could strawman the shit out of everything I don't like and have no accountability.
But you said it.
Number 2.
Wait, who was number?
I said it.
I just said
I'm going to break a pool cue. You all can have tryouts.
Basically, Tucker Carlson said the white supremacists are disorganized.
Yeah, no, here's the thing. We have the full clip. So if you take the clip in context.
Even out of it.
Look, but I know, this clip's so short that he just strawmans. What Tucker Carlson is saying is, this is something we do on the show. I go, no, let's listen to what they say. Anytime I do a John Oliver rebuttal, I say, go and watch the whole video.
Yeah.
Even though it's against my vested interest for you to support that content on YouTube so that it autoplays him or, God forbid, Seth Meyers after this show. Still don't know how that's happening. But Full context, Tucker Carlson was discussing mask mandates and specifically rebutting a claim. You tell me with this full clip if Tucker Carlson is saying white people are better than brown people.
What used to be called legitimate civic disagreement is now a threat to the nation.
Is this really about people being upset about mask mandates? Or are there sort of underlying disruptive forces, white nationalists, anarchists, whatever in this country, that are using mask mandates and a public health crisis to sort of wage chaos?
Get that moron off television. That's hurting the country. I mean, come on now. They're racist now? They're racist because they don't want their kids to be masked? Imagine saying something like that. There are underlying forces at work. Secret forces you can't see. Must be QAnon or white supremacists. There are no organized white supremacist forces in this country. We have a lot of problems. That's not one of them.
That's clearly him saying all of our problems are from brown people or from non-white people.
That don't know their place.
That's what I heard.
This is something that it's not just what's being done, the lie. Look, not only the intent, but what these people are estimating the outcome will be when they take clips so out of context.
Yeah.
When they take that clip and they say, Tucker Carlson made a white supremacist comment saying that white people are better than... Look, they're expecting you to not watch the full clip in context. People at Really American, people at MSNBC, they believe you're stupid people. Because only a stupid person would believe that if they watched the clip in context. They believe that you are fundamentally stupid people, and that's why stupid people like you out there shouldn't have the right to communicate information on social media, shouldn't have the right to forward emails, shouldn't have the right to express your opinion because you're too stupid. They understand what Tucker Carlson is actually saying, that he supports white supremacists. Let's go on to the next clip from Really American.
Well, how about just real quick? It's been over 2 years. People are tired of masks.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that.
Right, exactly. That's exactly it. And he went on to make that point too, but they were saying, what are the underlying reasons with mask mandates? Well, you know what? We have a man on the street coming up pretty soon where I interviewed a bunch of privileged white people in an area of town and then interviewed black people. Guess who opposed mask mandates more? Guess who opposed vaccine mandates more? Don't worry, stupid black people. MSNBC will speak for you. Don't worry, dumb African Americans, says Really American. Yeah. We will speak for you. When Tucker Carlson says mask mandates having a strong disapproval rating is not because of race, it's really because you're stupid. And I know that many of you black people out there are actually opposed to the vaccine mandates and mask mandates. You're stupid, let me educate you. That's what they are saying. And I know someone's going to try and take that out of the context and say, Stephen said stupid black people. No, I'm saying they are saying stupid black people because there's a significantly higher percentage of black Americans who are mistrustful of government than certainly the mostly privileged white people who run Really American or MSNBC. Here's another thing that they said. Again, this was trending on Twitter. Didn't see a fact check. When black people protest, it's a riot. When white people protest, it's democracy. He makes this. This is another straw man taking things out of context. Here you go.
When black people protest, it's a riot. The Antifa domestic terror movement. When white people protest, it's democracy. Have you been a good little Nazi?
Okay.
He said Antifa.
Yeah. Couple of things here.
It's the wrong organization.
Even as absurd as that is, the guy with the corn haircut yelling.
John Favreau and PCU.
Yes. Yes, it is. He took one clip of someone yelling, by the way, who waited their turn to get up and spew. We're going to show the clip, just so you know, so I can show you the worst that's happened at these municipal meetings, by the way. What you're about to see is the worst thing that has happened. And contrast that, of course, with billions of dollars in damages, with thousands of arrests and hundreds of casualties, with Black Lives Matter and Antifa riots. But here you go. What he is trying to say is when black people protest, it's a riot. When white people protest, it's democracy. Here's the weirdest, strongest argument they could pull. Is this guy.
You will never relinquish it. Do you think that the 4 feet of marble that holds you above high in this chamber will help you from the fate of humanity which you are unleashing?
WWE.
No, it won't! Your children and your children's children will be subjugated! They will be asked, how many vaccines have you had? Have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci!
When does Alex take his wig off?
Yeah.
Disguises.
I like it.
Oh, man.
It's not the delivery I would have used, but you know what?
Hey,
not wrong.
No,
he's not
no.
wrong on what he said, and he's sitting there. Just the fact that he's sitting at a desk and leaning into a microphone means he's respecting that he's supposed to be at that spot at that microphone. He's not burning down a Walgreens.
No, and he's also not threatening the lives of them. He basically said you are unleashing forces that you cannot hope to control once they're out, and your kids will pay the price. That's exactly what he was saying. He was saying it very loudly.
I'm coming for you, Hulk Hogan.
With dreads for days, but still.
They burned down Seattle. Nobody thought it was all black people.
Right. Yeah. No.
He said Antifa
They shot
in the
four
clip.
people.
When
in
I
Seattle.
think Antifa, I think white.
Yes.
Generally speaking, we ran into some Antifa people who were black.
Well,
I'm not
right
saying
there,
they're not there,
majority.
but yeah.
White kids.
But the
I see
point is here,
privilege.
can anyone, and this is an actual challenge, anyone show me any incident, for example, of a parent right now running in a mass shooting at a PTA meeting, at a municipal board meeting? I know they've said, shame on you, you're trying to subjugate us. I know that's gotten heated. I know that people have yelled, but guess what? Here's the thing. The argument that Really American is making is actually correct. It's true. When there are riots in the streets, the Black Lives Matter protests, again, we're talking about, I think, close to 1,000 officer casualties when you're talking about injuries, and you're talking about also deaths, including Officer David Dorn, 4 people shot in Chaz. You're talking about $2 billion worth of damages. You're talking about thousands of arrests. That is a riot. When people get up and yell at a town hall or at a municipal meeting, even if they're yelling, that is democracy. You may not, the point is, what this guy, they're tipping their hand. Do you see?
Yeah.
Really American is tipping their hand saying, see, we don't like what they're saying, even if they wait their turn, even if they're peaceful. If we don't like what they're saying, shut them down. They're not even arguing that parents out there are violent. Do you know how I know? Look, right now, let's look at the FBI and DOJ and what they're doing right now. They're going to investigate parents.
Yeah.
This is
school board.
Pardon my language, okay? If you have kids right there, this is fucking terrifying. It is evil. And all of this was shoehorned in under the guise of the Patriot Act a long time ago where, and I understood it at the time, my mistake. Now, I wasn't even old enough to vote for George Bush at this point. That being said, I thought, okay, I understand because we're facing terrorism. But you know what? Libertarians and conservatives and people who opposed it were right, because now what was originally designed to be used, right, to secure us from foreign threats, to spy on foreign threats, is now being used internally to investigate and to monitor Americans at an unprecedented level. This is what's important. When people say, well, Democrats didn't oppose the debt ceiling being raised under Trump. Trump spent some money. You're absolutely right. And on this show, we weren't big fans of the $1.5 trillion bill when we were talking about the COVID pandemic. We thought, listen, we just have to march our way through it. But do you really want to compare that to what are we now, $7 trillion in the first 6 months?
Yeah.
The scale is different. Sure, Americans have had to be patted down at the TSA or go through those nudie x-ray machines, which we all oppose. But the level with which the pernicious nature of this government using what were designed to be tools in times of war simply to investigate and intimidate political dissidents. By admission, no one said that they're violent right now.
No.
At these meetings. Let's flip that really quickly. Actual domestic terrorists, Antifa and Black Lives Matter, who've killed people.
Yes.
Killed people who've committed billions of dollars in damages.
Mm-hmm.
Merrick Garland, right? I think we have a montage clip. What did he say when asked if they were investigating these people?
We look at Antifa as more of an ideology or a movement than an organization.
Do you regard assaults on federal courthouses or other federal property as acts of domestic extremism, domestic terrorism?
So an attack on a courthouse while in operation plainly is domestic extremism.
Say it, terrorism.
Domestic terrorism. An attack simply on government property at night or any other kind of circumstances is a clear crime and a serious one and should be punished. Both are criminal. But one is a core attack on our democratic institutions.
Oh, okay. So like burning down a courthouse? Remember when they said, hey, the insurrection. Look, let's be clear, an insurrection requires a plan to overthrow the government.
Right.
Not like, I had a few O'Douls and I'm here.
Taking a podium.
That's non-alcoholic, right? Give me a fire extinguisher. What the hell's the difference? The point is, when you talk about an insurrection, requires a plan.
Yeah.
And an insurrection can happen at a national level, it can happen at a federal level, it can happen at a local level. What about burning down a courthouse? What about firebombing a police precinct? Is that not considered an insurrection?
Yeah.
What about, hey, when we talk about domestic extremism, which by the way, we're talking about terrorism. Terrorism is violence as a means to an end to subjugate and implement a point of view. Do you think that, are you a Trump supporter? We've got a Trump supporter here. Bam, bam to the face like Travis Bickle. Do you think that that might be domestic terrorism? That happened in Chop, Seattle.
Yep.
Not a peep.
No, not a peep at all. And I love how he pivots away from this. He's like, well, if the courthouse wasn't, in use, I mean, if they waited till 5:01, I think it was fine. But here's what he didn't say. Police stations were burned with police officers still there,
right,
Merrick. Talk to me about that, because every single time this came up, it was the peaceful protest part that they showed. Right. They're like, look, I don't have a problem with people protesting. If you go out on the highway and get hit by a car, sorry, I'm not going to feel super sorry for you. Right. But when you start to attack police officers, looting Nike, burning Walgreens and Burger King and courthouses, that's different.
I don't have a problem with you marching in the street. I have a problem with you that entire precinct, the officers left the building looking like Darkman. Yeah. That's my primary problem. You turned him into a Sam Raimi film with no consideration for what happens to our... So now let's contrast that. Merrick Garland urging the FBI to mobilize against parent protests. Saying, reading it, in recent months, there has been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school board administrators, board members, teachers, and staff. So when you combine all that, harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence, makes me think it's bullshit. Here's why.
Yeah.
When I've actually had real death threats and I've had to be on the phone with law enforcement officials, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I never said like, well, I get harassed, I get bullied. Oh, and by the way, here's someone who threatened to kill my wife and sent a picture of her to work. I didn't do that. That was kind of, I didn't bury the lead.
Yeah.
That's how I know it's bullshit. When people go, I get bullied. Okay, all right. Check my Twitter replies. Check the comment section. When there are legitimate threats, and I get them all the time, they are sent and I go, this is a legitimate threat. This is what I'm afraid of. Saying there's harassment and bullying and threats of violence. Wait. What threats of violence? Well, it's kind of like they're going to do, they do all the things. They say, you heard about the harassment part. I'm asking about the threats of violence and are they credible? Dave, you can get to your... Dave just had to go to the bathroom.
He had a small bladder.
So again, this is the same guy who didn't have an answer when we're talking about Antifa and Black Lives Matter. He wrote, in the coming days, the department will announce a series of measures designed to address the rise in criminal conduct directed towards school personnel. Anyone have a rap sheet? We've made our rap sheet available. Again, all references, all sources are available at louderwithcrowder.com with a link in the description. We have a long rap sheet with Black Lives Matter and Antifa. Yep. Where's the rap sheet for these parents? The guy wearing a Korn guitarist haircut? Post 2004?
Well, I mean, I think what he is saying, he's so loosely defining what he's going after. It's people being held accountable on school boards for what they're doing to these people's children.
Yeah.
You don't like that. I get it. Resign.
And let me get through this here because...
Why have the PTA meeting?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Why
That's what it's there for.
Like, so, everyone good? Teaching boys about chicks with dicks and that Boo Radley was a racist? Looks like my work is done here.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have questions.
Do you disagree?
Work is done.
Yeah, it's time for my edibles.
Do I need to call the FBI?
Exactly.
I got the phone.
Yeah.
It's right here.
It's a jitterbug that just calls them.
Yeah. I am directing the FBI, working with each U.S. attorney to convene meetings with federal, state, local, and tribal leaders. Got to include them.
Yeah. Tribal leaders.
They're surprised at that letter. What? Apparently schools that aren't they're hosting parent-teacher assault. Why didn't we think of that? You rolled an 8. That's time to pay up.
Yes. We're not here from the mother of
Hardy.
Buffalo Soldier.
Yes. Justin Hoffman, stop sleeping in our teepees. So, convene meetings with federal, state, local, and tribal leaders, facilitate the discussion and strategies for addressing threats against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff, and will open dedicated lines for threat reporting, assessment, and response. And of course, this was spurred by the National School Board Association asking protesters to be deemed domestic terrorists. By the way, this is the same association, especially when you look at the control of unions in education, who have much harsher restrictions here than in places like Europe when it comes to masks. Because in Europe, in places like Norway, in places like the UK, they have said, well, there's no science for masks in children in schools, and we don't think that it's worth it, and it's actually there is harm for children. That's what they've said with governments in Europe. The United States is being more stringent about this, and keep in mind that this national association said we're not going to go back to class until, and then insert whatever reason here.
Yeah. Well,
because 3 months vacation out of the year is not enough.
No.
It's not enough for the real heroes.
No, absolutely not. And by the way, they wrote that letter to the White House, and within a week, Merrick Garland comes out with his thing saying we're going to get the FBI involved. And they said they threw in the catch line for everything. They wanted domestic terrorism and hate speech. They said specifically, we think that it rises potentially maybe to this level. And I'm like, hate speech? Oh, there's the word that we can't define.
Oh, he said it again. Ah!
Exactly.
The hate speech that's inappropriate, speech that could be considered a terrorist threat, by the way, we're going to show you some clips, could literally be repeating the curriculum back to them. I warn you, if you have kids right now, I always say this isn't a trigger warning. I just don't want kids watching something. But unfortunately, they're teaching it in schools.
Yeah.
There are parents protesting pornographic material, racist material, and if they try and read it at the PTA, they try and shut them down and say it's inappropriate. So keep that in mind. Repeating the words that your teachers deliver to your children when they have authority of them, and you are not able to defend your child, is considered a terrorist threat. Let's be clear about that. They have your kids for 8 hours a day, and this is the kind of shit that they're teaching them. I am surprised that more parents aren't livid. Let's start off lightly. So here's some examples. Critical race theory. People try and say, oh, it's a boogeyman. No, it's not. It's a real thing. Yeah. It was just mandated by Gavin Newsom. California, under the disguise of ethnic studies. But of course, it talks about racial superiority and a hierarchy and things like white privilege. Okay.
Yeah.
Last year, California teachers and the education organizations released a toolkit called A Pathway to Equitable Math Instruction.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
What
called
does that
2
mean?
+ 2 = 4. Divided up by 4, you each get 1. Shut up and do your test.
What do you just make it harder for the Asians? Like, just make their math work harder? Seriously?
The toolkit is described as resources and guidance to support Black, Latinx, and multilingual students to thrive in grades 6 through 8. Yeah. By the way, do you know how I know that this is bullshit? Latinx is in there time and time again. We went out, we asked people. There has been empirical data that shows that Latin Americans, that Latino Americans, Hispanic Americans find the term offensive. You stupid white bitch. They don't like it. That's how you know this is bullcrap.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if their plan is anything like what's going on in San Francisco, where they actually decoupled this track and they're like, oh, hey, you guys that are really good at math and you would be in advanced placement, well, that's racist now, so we're going to have to put you back in the other class with everybody else.
Which, by the way, that's something that is happening in San Francisco. We weren't planning on talking about it. Being raised in high school, I was no longer in bilingual education because I was raised, they thought I was learning disabled until the 4th grade. So I speak French pretty well. My mom's French. I learned how to read and write French first.
Yeah.
But I realized that colleges look at your transcripts.
Yeah.
They don't look at the actual level of course load, like if you have advanced French and stuff.
No idea.
I never wanted to be in advanced French.
Why?
Right? They kept one. Well, because I figured I could get like a 96 in normal French, and I'd probably be, I'd be running a 60 or 70 in advanced French. So they used to have, this is, I swear
Like
to
an
God.
Asian with math.
Yes. I
It's not
swear
even
to God,
racist.
I swear this is true. We used to have something at Centennial Regional High School. People out there, you can let me know. Maybe it's a thing across Quebec called Rep in June, which is actually a good idea, which is if you failed a subject throughout the year, you had 2 weeks, and it was like summer school. You had 2 weeks where you could do a concentrated course, take the test again. It was a provincial test.
Good, yeah.
And if you beat the test, whatever your grade was, I don't remember the threshold, then you could actually continue and not be held back. But people who didn't fail anything, you had what you would have is like baseball, or you'd have home economics. You get to do a bunch of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you had scored too highly in the regular level subjects throughout the year, instead of getting to pick wiffle ball golf, which I did, I got put for 2 weeks in June in advanced French class. And I just was screwing around. I was like, I don't want to do this. And I remember her name was Madame Gamache. She's like, I don't know why you're doing this. There's so much potential. I'm like, I don't want potential. I don't want any potential. I just want to get a free grade that's really easy, where I do je suis, tu es, il est, nous sommes, vous êtes, right? Basic verb tenses. I don't want to be in advanced French. She's like, well, just make the most of it. I didn't show up. I pulled off my French teacher's wig. I went down to the office. I said, I am not going to do this. I will not be in advanced French. I'm not that smart, but in Bobo French, which is what we called it, I am a genius, and I want it to stay that way. Lo and behold, come 8th grade, advanced French. I never made honor roll again.
I love how you were trying to dumb it down.
bad.
You were basically trying to do what San Francisco is forcing every kid to do now, right? That's the whole point.
Colleges don't go like, oh, he was an advanced. They don't care.
They do care about advanced
No, for
placement,
crying
but
out
if
loud,
you fail them, they don't.
My brother went to UT,
Yeah.
and they didn't even know what to do with the system because it only goes to 11th grade, and you have SAGE. They're like,
it's Canada coming here.
No, but
That's
they just said, we'll just make you a sophomore. So in other words, if they don't even understand what do you think they're going to look and be like, oh, your French is French 401, not French 402? They have no idea.
That's true.
They just go, you got a 95 in French. Oh, we should put you in the international program. You can be part of the student UN. So my point is,
acted up to get out of it.
Just aim to be really good when compared to mediocrity.
Well, that's what they're doing it for you. You won't even have to aim for that anymore.
So, okay, back to San Francisco. The toolkit consists of 5 strides on the path to math equity. Stride 1 is dismantling racism in mathematics instruction. I always thought the cosine tangent seemed a little like a pointed hat. Its first chapter includes a section on dismantling white supremacy in math classroom.
Oh, good.
Some of the listed ways math...
whites are the supreme people at math.
What are you adding up K's to 3?
It's strikeouts in baseball, okay? You can't skip 3.
This sign is wrong. Why are you putting advanced students into classes with students that are awful and don't want to be there?
Yeah.
I don't know, for the same reason they're putting them in white supremacy math.
Yeah, you'll just obliterate the curve any chance that they had of passing.
Well, I remember when I did join my local neo-Nazi chapter, the flashing hand signal, it was basically just multiplication cards. So
I
was like, I don't know my sevens.
Did they make you chug a liter of water? Yeah. I had the same.
Fire hose.
Hazing.
So some of the listed ways that math perpetuates white supremacy, this is from equitableMath.org, so you know it's official. The focus on getting the right answer, that's wrong, that perpetuates white supremacy.
Wait, what?
Students are being tracked.
Wait, what?
Yeah, these are examples.
Focus
that
on
math,
getting the right answer.
Yes. Students are required to show their work. Grading practices are focused on lack of knowledge. So look.
Just wanted to make sure I heard you right before I went home and ended it.
Yes. Yes, you and the showrunner for Netflix because of Dave Chappelle's tawdry jokes. Look! This is racist. It's saying that getting the right answer in math class is white supremacy. You are so racist. Not even kind of racist. You are the problem. Again, what are they saying? You stupid black people.
Yeah.
You can't be expected to get the right answer in math. We shouldn't expect you to show your work. Math should not. That's a construct of white supremacy. Don't worry. And I guarantee you, if you ask black people, hey, 2 + 2 = what? 4? Do you think that you should get graded on being correct on that? Yeah. If this guy gets it wrong, should he get it wrong? Yeah. Well, a bunch of rich white bitches say that that's racist. They're not going to be on board with this. This isn't coming from black Americans. I'm not saying I speak for black Americans, but neither do you. EquitableMath.org. I guarantee it.
Outside of getting the answer right, which God, I hope is the right thing for engineers when they're kind of designing the airplane. I want the math to work out on that.
And bridges.
But also showing your work. Those are the 2 most important things in mathematics. Otherwise, you don't need it. You really shouldn't teach it because showing your work makes you work through a problem. It makes you find out where you're making a mistake, and it makes you be diligent. That's why Asians are better at math. It's not because they're just gifted at math. They will work on a problem longer than other people groups.
Well, also
will
it's because
work
of
on
linguistics. If you look at the Asian language, and
mathematical
not only that, but also
else.
their primary crop, rice, is very persnickety, so it requires a very scientific approach.
You've read Malcolm Gladwell, haven't you?
Well, I've read a lot about this, and I know he writes about it, but it is true. There are cultural reasons, and of course, it's very highly prized in Asian American households.
Right.
Apparently, this is racist. Like, hey, guess what?
Can't say that.
Asians are good at math. Blacks are good at jazz.
Oh no!
I was wrong.
I wish I.
Who's the Asian American Coltrane equivalent? I know someone's going to Yo-Yo Ma. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I know.
I just wish I would have gone to school now. I would have graduated with honor. It's like, wait, what did you learn? Nothing. I got nothing right.
Hold on.
A+.
And you can't prove it.
Dave just brought up a great point.
You just show your work and say that everything's racist. You'll get an A.
You just put all the gifted and talented people in the class where they're going to get beat up for the answers on the test.
Oh my gosh! Do you have any idea how easy it would be for me to bullshit my way through this class? That's why I never got below an A+ on humanities.
Dude, they're going to be doing bookkeeping for other students and drug runners. It's the
What have we
stupidest
done?
idea.
My trigonometry would have just been writing down, well, actually, if you understand trigonometry and its roots in white supremacy, most black Americans weren't allowed to own property. Therefore, they wouldn't need to figure out the size of their triangular lot, which is perfectly shaped.
Break yourself, fool.
So actually, I think, and they'd be like, A+.
Right. Exactly.
I believe it. It's trigonometry.
Yes, trigger.
How bored these guys are going to be in class. Like, they're used to like solving very complex theoretical math problems, and you're going to put them in algebra.
What?
This is exactly my point. Thank you.
Okay. My eyes glazed over. Okay, so look, this is the bullcrap with things like math, where you think that they shouldn't be involving any of the humanities.
So stupid.
But this past month in Fairfax, Virginia, again, the FBI DOJ wants to investigate you for this. If you're mad about that, if you think all of us right now as parents, if we were dumb enough to put our kids in public school,
Don't do it.
right?
No.
We'd show up and be mad. They would say, you're potentially domestic terrorist for saying the right answer is the right answer in math. But there's more to it. Fairfax, Virginia, this past month, watch how they react when hearing their own curriculum read back to them. Parents protested, and I warn you if you have kids here, though we've bleeped it, I think we've caught everything. They protested pornographic school books there at the library. Here you go.
After seeing a September 9th school
in the
board
library.
meeting in Texas on pornography in the schools, I decided to check the titles at my child's school. Both of these books include pedophilia, sex between men and boys.
Scout's manual.
Both books describe different acts. One book describes a 4th grade boy performing oral sex on an adult male. From the author, Maya Kobabe.
Stephen
Quote,
King.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I am going to give you the job of your life, and then I want you inside me, end quote. From the author, Jonathan Evison. What if I told you I touched another guy's dick? What if I told you I sucked it? I was 10 years old, but it's true. I sucked Doug Goebel's dick, the real estate guy, and he sucked mine too. This is not an oversight at Fairfax High School.
Sorry. May I please make a point of there are children in the audience.
Yeah, wow. There are children in the library and in the classroom.
The Virginia law makes the possession,
The red snatch
distribution,
of courage.
and exhibition of obscene material and child pornography a felony crime. Every day you allow such books to
Domestic
be in our
terrorists,
schools
folks.
makes you complicit in furthering potential violations of the law. Finally, the plan talks about promoting parent participation, and I agree.
You're pushing on kids. Her son showed her a reading assignment given to him by his Fairfax County Public School. It said, this is, quote, all in their 20s, minus women, fucking cows, dreaming of rape, waiting for... These are a part of a reading assignment that your school assigned to our kids.
We have children in the
all
room.
This mother
No
asked
obscenities,
for...
Oh, so it's only okay to teach that to children when parents aren't in the room. Got it.
Read the trash. But you refuse. The Virginia Department of Education refused.
When people act like this is domestic terrorism, have you ever watched the Brits in Parliament? Do you have any idea what our founding fathers did when they were arguing?
Yeah.
To call someone a fool was way worse than to call them a... I can't even say what it is.
You can't say it,
It's about as bad as it gets. You want to accuse these people of being domestic terrorists because they're reading your reading assignments out loud? And this is what's really important. They want to operate in the dark. Always. No. We want to assign this to your children. We want to read this to your children. You can't read it back to us when there are other eyes on us. We want to do it when we have your children for 8 hours completely unsupervised. Nothing could possibly go wrong there. And by the way, let's compare this. And I know I'm not a fan of book banning. I don't think saying that this shouldn't be a reading assignment or effectively pedophile pornography shouldn't be in the library. But let's compare this to books that the left wants to actively ban.
The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn and To Kill a Mockingbird are banned from Accomack County Public Schools. Last month, a parent expressed concerns over the book's use of the N-word.
But there's so much racial slurs in there and offensive wording that you can't get past that. And right now, we are a nation divided as it is.
She filed a request to have the district find alternatives, forcing them to temporarily suspend use of the two novels.
The N-word shouldn't even be in a book.
Teresa Wilkins hopes the district bans them.
Yeah, I'm going to take advice
It's in
from
a
you.
book.
Yeah, you seem like
and
a
they'll
reader.
feel that they are able to say that to anybody.
But some people disagree, saying even though the books have racial slurs, the quality
All right, okay,
of the
that's enough.
content...
There was even one person who said, the white saviorism of To Kill a Mockingbird. The N-word shouldn't be in a book. Well, you're not going to love Ice-T's new trigonometry curriculum because it's riddled with it.
Well, if he had a black lawyer in To Kill a Mockingbird, it would have ended much differently at that time.
Yes, exactly. It's like contextually, you have parents domestic terrorists, sorry, who are complaining about pornographic material and factually incorrect material as it relates to math in order to systematically, of course, try and brainwash students into believing in racial division, into stoking racial division, right? Into identity politics. You have parents saying, I don't think that my kid should have to read about bestiality or about sucking dick in the library. I think that is wrong. And they're speaking, they're waiting their time. Whereas on the left, they say, and again, this is context above content. The N-word is in Huckleberry Finn. What's the context there?
Yeah.
Is it about people being the same? And is it about people coming together and becoming friends, Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer? What about To Kill a Mockingbird? Hold on a second. That's right. The N-word is used. Is it used by the villains? Is it used by the villains to denigrate the innocent man who's on trial, who is being defended by a white attorney, regardless of during a racially divided time? He fails to see someone exclusively by the color of their skin. That content, is that overall a positive message against racism?
Well, look, I think you have a point here. I would be fine if critical race theory would take that out, too, because it probably says something about people saying the N-word and that being bad.
Right?
Right? I mean, that's the whole foundation of it, so we can't have that either. And by the way, I know that mom is probably very diligent. She is doing all of her work at home to make sure that no songs are being sung by famous rappers that have that word, because lest they think they can say it. Like she said, they'll think that they can say that word in general conversation.
Absolutely.
And I think even more importantly, in that first clip, did you see how ugly that couple was in the first row?
Yeah.
If you go back, that is a hideous couple.
They were just being titillated by what the lady was reading.
I don't even think they have kids. I think
they were
just
applauding. They were like,
stories.
this is bad.
What? But I'm just even wondering what books these were though in school. Like who? Like did the teacher write them? He's like, this is my literature. Take it home and read it.
We would like to present your assistant professor this year, Bill Cosby. So you're gonna be talking about the sick in the library. Wake up with boarding box on your arm.
This is my book. They were asking for it by Dr. Bill Cosby.
Yeah, we asked Kevin Spacey to come in and teach 9th grade acting. So
this is my book to Fizz the Mockingbird. Bloop, bloop. All right. So look, this is my point here. This is really scary. This is unprecedented. And if you look at them labeling you, the FBI, DOJ, this is why don't blame Americans. We're going to go to Mug Club here in a little bit and read this letter here to Dave Chappelle. Don't blame Americans, people in the media, people, of course, in government, but I repeat myself right now, elites. Don't blame Americans for no longer trusting your institutions when the institutions of education are obviously no longer of any value. And then the institutions of our intelligence agencies, once actually generally seen as the good guys, have decided to selectively enforce the law and investigate one group of non-violent offenders who are concerned parents waiting their turn to get up at municipal meetings, labeling them as domestic terrorists. Don't get mad when those parents don't trust the FBI or the DOJ. Don't get mad when those parents don't trust the most secure and safe election of all time because it's being parroted by the media, who, by the way, have been silent about these stories. Don't get mad at Americans for no longer trusting these institutions when you have decided to subvert them and then use them for political gain. Don't act like people have politicized COVID. You did it first. Don't act like people have politicized education. You did it first. Don't act like people have politicized the FBI and DOJ. You've done it first. Don't act like people are politicizing the media and there was some bygone era of journalism and Walter Cronkite and Dan Rather. It never existed. You committed this in first, and this is people reacting to it. The good thing is you can count on conservatives, you can count on right-wingers reacting in a way that is orderly and in accordance with the Constitution. But something you don't like to hear, if you keep investigating them and arresting them and holding them in jail without trial, the Constitution has corrections for that too. Don't overreach and then blame it on the people who react to you overreaching. It's got to stop. We are headed off a cliff, and we're not headed off a cliff because of both sides. We're not. We're headed off a cliff because these institutions have decided that instead of keeping America safe, they want to utilize them to destroy one half of America, and one half of America at some point isn't going to have it. All right, we'll talk more about it. YouTube, you know what? You can piss off.